part of what we talked about here, was, the scary part of potentially being on an H-1B and having your employment no longer be in place. So talking about that and how it relates to a source of funds, how long might it take for someone to potentially complete this sort of documentation? Because we'll have those questions all the time, and people will say to us, oh, like, my source of funds is easy, it'll be simple, it's X, Y, and Z. To which I would always say, make sure you talk to a really, really good attorney about this first. When people come to you and say something like this, or if someone came to you and said, I was part of this tech layoff, like, is 60 days enough time for someone to potentially try to do something like this? Or would someone be, well within there, or, would it be a prudent thing for them to try to put a little bit more time and to be a little bit more preemptive and potentially looking at this as an option?
I think being preemptive is definitely a good idea, and understanding and doing some research about EB-5 to understand how it works, to dig into it a little more, to understand, the players in the market, because EB-5 is kind of two sides of one coin. There's an immigration side of the coin, of the EB-5 coin, and I deal with that. That's my role in the process. But there's also an investment side of the coin. And I can't actually advise on that because I'm not an investment advisor. Now, investment and immigration go together in simple and kind of complicated ways in EB-5. But there is an interplay there and some complexity, and it does require some time, generally. That said, I've done plenty of cases in less than 60 days. It can definitely be done. Part of it comes down to the applicant. How motivated are they, and how complicated is the source of funds? If we're going back many years, 10, 15 years, to look at bank statements and analyze money flows, then that can be quite challenging. But if they recently got a huge bonus or dividend, or they sold an asset that's sufficient to fund the EB-5 investment, we can put it together pretty quickly. If I had to give you an average, I'm going to say 3 to 4 months, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, but 3 to 4 months, I think, is sort of the sweet spot for something like this. So I definitely wouldn't, waiting until you get laid off is probably not the best play. For people that are in that position and have no other choices, yeah, we can help you for sure. But I think it behooves anyone, for the reasons that we've already discussed, who is here in H-1B and perhaps has the financial resources to consider EB-5, to consider EB-5. I think it is a real strategy that you should be looking at.
I think it makes a lot of sense to not wait till it starts raining outside to buy flood insurance, right? To start looking at and start preparing for things beforehand, so you can be ready in the event that something like this is needed, or just to have the flexibility and the permanency of an EB-5 investment.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention too on that is, if you have kids and you want to pay, potentially in-state tuition, you want to have certain access to certain scholarships and so forth. If you get a green card and have that green card status for a period of time, your child is coming into that school with a very different profile than they would be if they're coming in as an H, and certainly if they're coming in as an F student. Now, it's hard to generalize about what those rules are because they differ from state to state and school to school. But generally speaking, you are certainly going to most likely have access to more merit-based scholarships, more need-based scholarships, potentially as a green card holder than you otherwise would. That was my experience. I was a green card holder for when I went to school, and I was able to get financial aid and significantly defray the cost of my education when we moved here from Denmark. So
very nice. I love that. Very huge benefit.